Salut les amis. Hi. So this is a three-part video, right? Remember we were talking about managing partners, branding, copywriting, and there's the whole marketing aspect of that, actually marketing. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of this character, Grimjow Jaggerjack from Bleach, and I literally have his face tattooed on my leg, and my alter ego everywhere online is Grimjow. But that's a side note. I told you I was an anime geek or nerd before it was cool. So branding and copywriting slash decision fatigue. And that's something that I mentioned afterwards. But I'm going to go back to something I mentioned last video, which is negotiating with the customer and the types of negotiations that I'm thinking I have to go through while I'm actually like building the actual company and for it to be a success. And I refer to the simpler negotiations, which are like negotiating with the supplier, with the delivery people, with like the people that have a job to do, and I want their service. But then the other type of negotiation, which is the customer negotiation or the people that are going to be going to the store and buying, that's the different negotiation that we have to negotiate through our marketing strategies and through every other tool that's become an online thing for us to be able to engage with. Today, I referred to that specifically because like the branding slash copywriting is a big part of the conversation you're going to be having with the customer, and that's exactly how I see it because that's a representation of who you are and why the fuck would they want to buy from you. And it takes me to this when uh, when ordering a sample online, especially when you're dealing with like Alibaba, you tend to like actually talk to the Chinese manufacturers. And I'm sticking to China for now. Eventually, I might explore different countries in Asia or different like countries period around the world. I don't know where this would go, but right now this is the easiest and simplest approach. And there's one individual, for some reason, I have that intention to buy from her. And we received her product, and it was like, okay, what's the difference between her and the two other suppliers that sent me the same product? Quality wise, not very much. But personally, I don't know why I want to buy from her. There's something that she did, which I want to like tomorrow morning when I actually go because I have to like put in the orders and we have to finally order the actual stuff and then the timeline for them to come here. I have to finish whatever setup I have and build the branding and copywriting part of the website where I engage in the smallest of details that are required for people to feel some kind of way when they're reading it, because ultimately the brand is representing us as a company and the copywriting part is the smaller things, the details that you actually include that people would want to know, would want to be involved in, and would want to understand. Naturally, for me, that's the sales pitch. That's, hey man, this is what I'm trying to sell. But marketing for me is not this is what I'm trying to sell. Marketing is in essence, or let's say copywriting and branding is why I want to sell this, like why this is my choice, whether it is a product or whether it is the entirety of the theme that of our store or of our company. Why is this the thing that I'm actually trying to engage with? And I'm telling you about it. It's this advertising part. It's going to tell the customer about us, in which the customer is going to be like, and part of my negotiation is going to be like, hey, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. So everything complements itself, and it has to be like from step A, wow, I see something in front of me, to step Z. If there were more letters of the alphabet, I'll probably go there. But the goal is to go from A to whatever like actual point, which is Z and everything in between, and to take the customer step by step through all the things that he might say or she might say no to, or any like whatever pronouns they want to use, whatever they want to go through in order for them to finalize buying my product. Naturally, we're going to choose the better products and we're going to actually want to have some value and we want to add some things for them to kind of feel like they did a they it was a good decision. But most of the decision is not made by the product itself, it's made by how the product is sold. So the branding and copywriting part, man, especially throughout this whole week, has been like a topic in my head. And even though I wrote stuff about it, I wasn't very much consistent in going into the detail, and it still feels weird. But I came to something, and I kind of like realized that there's a decision fatigue aspect of going through all of these things, especially at the bare bones. Like, you know, the website is set up, and everything for our marketing and advertising is set up. A couple of apps have been set up to support the store and all that cute stuff, but we haven't really kind of like built them up to par to a level where they are like yay, because we have to fill them with the content needed. And like email marketing, for example, requires certain email responses, and the response in the email is stronger than the fact that they received an email from us, because the last thing you want is to have a customer on the email list that you're just bombarding with random shit. You have to make something a bit more valuable. You have to make it something a bit more like honest. Just this just gave me an idea. But there's a decision fatigue that kind of like comes to me, and it feels like my limit on a daily basis. There's a limit of decisions that I can make on a daily basis. And funny enough, it doesn't matter if it's a small decision or a big decision, my brain kind of registers it as a decision. I don't know if through my experience in life, I instinctively gather the information that is required in order for me to kind of like take a step forward. But the more decisions I make, the less energy I have towards the decision that I'm making, which allows, like, at the beginning of the day, I can make a lot of easy decisions. But by the middle of the day or middle of the working day, I'll start feeling a bit more like out of place. Like, what am I doing? And that's when I start getting those like random distractive thoughts. You know, when your mind starts telling you, "Oh, do this. Oh, it's fine. Do that. Oh, you deserve a break. Like, it's been 20 minutes since I took my break, but like, no, it's fine. You can do this. You've done enough." And so that is the kind of like these are the decisions that kind of prove harder throughout the day. Now there are bigger decisions, much bigger decisions that have to be taken, but those don't really count as the day-to-day efforts that you have to put through, or I have to put through. So when I realized that most of the decisions I'm making are not making from an actual like from a high point of view. I'm just making any decision that should be necessarily made. And most of the bigger decisions, because I'm spending all the energy on the smaller ones, the bigger decisions are kind of like either postponed or not being made properly, which made me take a step back and like realize, okay, maybe you need to kind of make these decisions before you start working, because once you start working, then all the smaller decisions kind of trickle down as a task to be done, instead of this has to be done or something like this. And that's probably why people tell you like create a plan, make a list, because once you go through all the decisions that you have to make, then following the step by step is simply a lot easier. But I have no idea what the step by step could be like. Again, I'm starting everything from scratch, and everything from like designing the website, which still needs a lot of work. Even though it looks nice, it still needs a lot of like functionality in it, to the emails, to the Facebook ads and marketing. And we're still only on Facebook. There's still TikTok, and there's still Google and YouTube, and there's still like the evolution towards whatever exists that the online world does not really share for free, or doesn't share for the beginners in this field. Because I either have to figure it out, or I have to ask enough questions so that the YouTube algorithm like gives me what I want in order for me to understand what the next stages could be. So it's a bit tricky thinking about the branding parts. It's commitment, and seemingly that might be something scary for me, even though like my commitment to a whole lot of like bigger things in my life are there. But like realizing how the commitment is going to be made is kind of like, I want to say, eye opening, because you can commit to a lot of things but still do them the same way you do you always operate, which means you never really committed to them succeeding. You just committed to them by thought but not by action, and your action requires a whole lot of feedback. And the harder part is because the feedback is from you. So taking your time in order to be able to like approach this, taking your time in order to be able to like comprehend what exactly you're committing to, I think that's where the major decisions need to be made. in order for you not to kind of like burn out super fast earlier through your process and kind of like feel a bit lost, which is how I was feeling last week. Because the initiation part of it, once you realize this is what you have to do, you can put a lot of ideas down. But then kind of like extracting the right ones and the soft ones and kind of building upon them, and then eventually like they become whole once you figure out all the details. That's a lot more. That's a lot more consciousness than anyone would want to like spend on like something. Ideally, what I want to do is be able to do this. I don't want to say super easy, but I want to be able to do this as if I'm used to it. And I think that is the goal for me, to be able to like get to a point where this is second nature to me, so that I'll be able to like open up my mind to the extra things that will contribute to the success. And that's basically branding, copywriting, and decision making that I wanted to talk about today. If anyone's out there and listening, this is video number 5.